Here we have a form that expects a name and an age, and it is built using the Formik library. We can see how we're pulling Formik, form, and field from Formik. The Formik component being returned from app takes 3 props. We have a render prop that actually takes care of the visible output. Here we have Formik's form wrapping a couple of fields. Mind the very important name prop, which needs to map to the corresponding initial value. Here's the initial values prop for Formik with name and age as empty strings. So this name needs to match this guy, and this needs to match this. Now let's handle submission somehow. Perhaps we could reset the form, and then in place of some sort of network request, we could simply alert the form values. Let's take that for a drive. Let's do Peter is 23, submit, and we get Peter is 23. And the form also resets itself. The problem here is that we are not validating the inputs at all. See what happens if we press the submit button straight away without entering values inside the form first. Well, that is less than ideal. How do we validate inputs before submission and present the user with error messages if validation fails? To tackle this problem, first we will bring the error message component from Formik. And then we will render an error message per field. The error message component needs a name prop so it knows what field it corresponds to. It also expects a component prop, and we will simply use div. To make the CSS look better, we will also inject a class name of red. This class name will be handed down to the HTML element that actually renders to the screen. Let's copy and paste that guy. Change that to age. And the error messages are ready. Now we need to create the validation proper. And for that, we will inject another prop into the Formik component. This prop is called validate. Let's give it a value of validate, which is a function that does not yet exist. So let's go ahead and fix that. Up here, let's go ahead and create a const called validate. Have it be a function taking a bunch of form values, name and age. The first thing we do is declare a variable called errors, giving it a value of empty object. If there are errors in the current values, we will put them instead of this errors object. Now let's start validating name. We could write something like, if no name at all, the error should be something like, you need a name. Else, if the length of the name is too short, we could also make an error, something perhaps like, your name needs to be longer. Let's leave it like that for now and start thinking about validating age. We will also need a conditional statement. Let's get started with making sure an age is entered. In this case, we will tack an age property on the errors object. How about making sure the age is over 18? The last step is to actually return the errors object from the validate function. Let's take this for a drive. Let's attempt to submit an empty form as before. And that seems to be working. Let's start typing a name. Let's do A and see the error message changing. Let's keep typing A, and the validation problem is gone. Let's go about age. Let's do 21, and this submits. See how easy it was to create form validation using the validate prop on the Formik component. And this is, in a nutshell, validation with Formik.